Welcome to episode 2 of the Pretty Solid Pod, man. Let's start this off by getting our posture up, getting a beverage of our choice, and getting straight into the video, man. So I'm rocking some Citrus Rush electrolytes. I actually just filmed the first episode just a few minutes ago, and I wanted to make sure it wasn't long as hell. And there's a bunch of different stuff that I've put together for different episodes for y'all. So let's just get straight into it. So in this episode, I'm going to be going over some books that are really going to help you transform. Also on the importance of posture. These books are something that I feel like if I didn't read, I wouldn't be as good of a man. I wouldn't have had as great of times, and my life as I know it wouldn't have been nearly as good. And when it comes to my posture as well, I feel the same way. It's not like they transform my mindset like these books, such as the 4 Agreements or different books that I'm about to mention, these 4. But I also know that with the posture, it really helps you breathe better, feel better, live better, and it communicates confident body language, which is an important trait if you want to be a confident guy, which I do, I'm sure you do. But yeah, so to start off, man, the first book that I ever read through and through that I enjoyed was the Swim the Fly book, or How to Swim the Fly. It was a coming of age book that I read in high school, one of the only books that I finished growing up, besides if it was like for the class, like To Kill a Mockingbird or some shit. But this book, Swim the Fly, was about this dude in high school who saw this hot girl, and they were in the same swim class, and the person who usually swam the fly for that book, or in that swim team for the high school, was saying that they were injured or they couldn't make it, so they needed someone to swim the fly, which was apparently the hardest swim to do. It was like a 200 meter, 100 meter fly, or 50 meter fly, whatever. And the fly is the one where you go like, oof, oof. And so it's pretty fucking physical. And this guy just, thought that this girl on the swim team was cute, and he wanted to impress her, so he was like, fuck it, I'll swim the fly. And it was a really cool coming of age movie, similar to Superbad, where, there was a bit of like going out and partying involved, and this guy brought like some non-alcoholic beer to the party, and he covered it up with like a brown bag so that no one could see that it was 0% alcohol, because he couldn't have anyone buy him booze. And it was just funny, man. And he ended up, I think, getting the girl or whatever, and it was a cool book. So that was the only book that I really liked growing up. For me, reading has been something that's been extremely difficult for me, man. I remember being in class and the teacher, going through the book, and when she would read the words, or people would read the words, I would follow along. But when I would read the words, I would always be slower than all the other kids, man. Except for the kids that were, like having dyslexia. And I don't have dyslexia, so it's confusing. But after reading Swim the Fly, I went on a hiatus from reading. The Harry Potter books were too big for me. All these different books that all these people were reading just seemed very daunting. And this book was the first book that I've, read. Notice how these books aren't really that thick. This one is thick, but you're only supposed to read a page a day. These other ones are, just like 100 or 2 pages. Not really, like, not even 200 pages. None of these are 200 pages. Love it. Very simple, very great game that's in these. And when I was on my journey, which I'm still on, of self-mastery, love being on the journey, blessed to have another day to do it. But when I began this, I was just trying to get out of the house and get social, right? To build like a life where I wasn't hating it, where I would be enjoying myself throughout my days. And over time, I evolved and learned about different things and grew. And throughout me listening to different podcasts that brought me value, or people that had to say some really good game and shit that actually made me feel better and, live better, I ended up trusting a few people on this book, which is The 4 Agreements. This is by Don Miguel Ruiz. The 4 Agreements has these, 4 things, which I'm going to read, because whether you read this book or not, if you follow these 4 things, they're not easy, but they will transform your life with how you live it to be much better. So the first agreement is to be impeccable with your word. Speak with integrity, say only what you mean, avoid using the word to speak against yourself or to gossip about others. Use the power of your word in the direction of truth and love. Don't take, and that's the first agreement. The second one is don't take anything personally. Nothing others do is because of you. What others say and do is a projection of their own reality, of their own dream. When you are immune to the opinions and actions of others, you won't be the victim of needless suffering. That's some real ass shit. But let's get into the third agreement. Don't make assumptions, bro. I threw bro in there. They didn't say bro. That's just me putting my flavor on it. Don't make assumptions, bro. Find the courage to ask questions and to express what you really want. Communicate with others as clearly as you can to avoid misunderstandings, sadness, and drama. With just this one agreement, you can completely transform your life. That was what they wrote in there. The fourth agreement is to always do your best. Your best is going to change from moment to moment. It will be different when you are healthy it will be different when you are healthy as opposed to sick. Under any circumstance, simply do your best, and you will avoid self-judgment, self-abuse, and regret. When it comes to this book, man, and what it did for me, it made the difference between me being able to communicate with the people that I love or the people that I want to love, or maybe it was a girl that I was dating or some homies that I had, and me learning these and practicing them made me such a stronger man that I can't even fucking imagine a life where I don't know this stuff. And matter of fact, I'm probably gonna reread this book sometime this year because it always hits so good. And it's a book that I try to live by. Now, we aren't perfect humans. If we were just AI robots, taking everyone's fucking job, whatever. If we were just like AI robots and we would do everything perfectly, we would never have mistakes. But we aren't. We're real humans. So mistakes happen, and learning is a gradual process. But this book led me in such a good direction where, it just helped me forgive a lot of things in my past. Not when it says things about don't make assumptions, when you're dating and putting yourself out there and you maybe are out and you see a girl that you think you click with and then you approach her and she's not feeling you and then you move on, after getting rejected, that rejection can hit a lot, and one thing that I learned is to just not take anything personally. I could be the perfect guy to someone, and it could just, to a girl, and it could just not be her day. She might be going through it, something's going on, whatever's going on. It's not personal to me for her to be rejecting me, because I could just be a great guy, but not her type. And nothing that I could do could make me her type. So, and then when it comes to, don't make assumptions, there's times where I've, been hanging out with homies and shit, and I hit them up to see when they're gonna slide, and they don't get back to me for a long ass time, and I used to be like, damn, they must not value me as a homie or as a bro, because if they did, they would hit me back, way quicker, or they would match the response time. Same thing with women, if you're dating and you are, wondering why someone isn't hitting you back. There's a bunch of different things that could be going on, man. They could have just lost their grandma. Their dog could have just died, or they could just not be into you at all. We don't know. So don't assume and don't take that shit personal. And then, yeah, man. So this book has been really great to me. And there's it was by Don Miguel Ruiz. And so this is, it's a roadmap to enlightenment and freedom. And so basically, the Toltecs are in Castaneda Ruiz, the tradition of Castaneda. So there's a place in Mexico where pre-Aztec and Inca times, very, very old Mexican wisdom of how to live good and, be free and live well, be happy. That is what Toltecs are. And throughout the conquistadors, throughout the Aztecs, throughout the Incas, throughout all these different empires that conquered Mexico, these Toltecs kept their secrets hidden throughout all these different crazy experiences. And eventually, they felt like it was okay for them to put this knowledge out there in the world because it wouldn't be used bad or something. And that's what this Toltec wisdom is, man. These values and these things have been, made for thousands of years or some shit. So it is some real good wisdom. Like I said, 4 agreements. Love that book. Now, the second book is going to be The Law of Attraction by Michael J. Lozier. So Michael J. Lozier is a dude who basically, there's a bunch of different people that did The Law of Attraction. This is the book that I read, and it was gifted to me by a homie. When I was talking to y'all in the last episode about me basically finding a team of dudes that are really taking care of themselves, elevating and leveling up, it helps you a lot because you don't just get to put out good energy and help the homies, they help you as well. And my homie Elliot gifted this book, shout out to Elliot, and it's really just, it transformed the vibe that I was able to put out, man. Me learning the science of attracting more of what I want and less of what I don't. And I don't mean like just with dating, I mean with life itself. I mean with the experiences that I'm having. And like I was talking about with my family in that last pod about me overcoming a, tough thing with my dad, me just taking care of my mind with these different habits and these different books, and knowing that if I put more time into this negativity, I'm gonna get it. And if I put more time into this positivity, I'm gonna get it. So let me choose more of what I want, which is a positivity, and less of what I don't, and keep it pushing. This book really helps with that. And it also helps with, priorities and, when it comes to, traits of, different people that are in your life that you like or don't like, such as if you were in a relationship with a girl and there was, let's say that she just flipped shit and had a really bad temper, then you know that you don't want to attract that. So you have some guidelines on what you want in a relationship versus what are like deal breakers. For me, being with someone who, it gets really upset or treats people bad, that's not something that, I'm into. So those are like deal breakers for me, but everyone's got their own. So I encourage y'all to read that book and just take time to, take care of the vibe and understand that you can create whatever vibe you want. So choose wisely. Now, the fourth book is something that I use strategically to start my day off on a high note to make a good influence and kind of get a bit more of what I want, honestly. And I feel like people act like Robert Greene and people thinking strategically are bad. Why would you not want to win? Why would you not want to put yourself in a better position? That's how I think. I don't think that it's bad to be strategic and to work to get what you want. And whether it's a job and, doing the work to crush your sales goals and win with your career, or whether it has to do with the relationships and being able to, be someone who's more likable and shit. It's all, the game of life. And I love being a gamer. Not necessarily like I love gaming. I love playing Skate 3 and video games, but I don't have an Xbox anymore. I sold it so that I wouldn't have access to an Xbox at my place, because even though it's nice for me to have it to throw on some stuff on the TV, I found myself gaming when I would just be wondering what I should be doing instead of just being with my own thoughts, thinking of what I should be doing and taking action to be a better man. But I digress, man. So this book, How to Win Friends and Influence People, is by Dale Carnegie. If you don't know Dale, Dale's a smart motherfucker. Dale is a great businessman who made a massive impact on the US. The 4 parts of it is, the first part is the fundamental techniques in handling people. So it emphasizes the importance of treating others with respect and appreciation. Avoid criticism, condemnation, and complaints as they alienate people and create resentment. Instead, focus on offering sincere praise and understanding others' perspectives, fostering positive relationships based on mutual respect. Pretty solid. There's 4 parts, by the way. Part 2 is the 6 ways to make people like you. This highlights the power of showing genuine interest in others and listening actively. Remembering people's names and making them feel important fosters trust and rapport. By focusing on others' interests and making them feel valued, you create lasting and meaningful connections. Isn't that sick? Part 3 is how to win people to your way of thinking. To persuade others, Carnegie advises avoiding arguments and respecting different opinions. Ask questions and guide conversations in a way that leads others to see things from your perspective. Demonstrating humility, admitting your own mistakes, and appealing to people's self-interest makes them more receptive to your ideas. Real game. Part 4, be a leader. How to change people without giving offense or arousing resentment. Carnegie teaches that leadership is about inspiring others through encouragement rather than criticism. Start with praise, suggest improvements indirectly, and allow people to save face. By fostering a positive environment, you can help others grow and change without causing offense or resentment. And by the way, I didn't read this whole book, I made it over halfway to a page 110, and there is, what is it, how many? There's like 203 or something like that pages. So that book's got a ton of game, man, and I started reading it in the, beginning of September of like 2025, because there was just some stuff going on in my life, and I felt like it was being caused by people who didn't like me and people that I have to be around, and interact with and stuff. And so I was like, well, how can I cause this to be smoother? And that person actually was just a dick, but I ended up like making things a little better, or at least working to make them better, which made me feel better about the situation. So How to Influence and Influence People has got some real sauce and game. I, am gonna definitely continue to read it, but I only made it halfway through. So the chapters that I read was part 1 and part 2. So the techniques in handling people and the 6 ways to make people like you. And that shit worked for real. But also I wasn't using, those stuff like just to make everyone like me. And by the way, I can't believe that I did this, man. The fragrance of the day. I put on the last episode. One thing about Molecule 01 EDT by Essential Molecules is that this cologne is something where it's very, very difficult to overspray. But like I was saying in the last episode, and I already sprayed this 4 times, so check it out. Oh my God. It smells so good, man. So good, and it's a cologne that works for anything. It works for the office, it can work for church, for a fucking funeral, for a night out, all types of shit, man. You put this on in a night out as well, and like, it's not a cologne that's like hyper masculine or some shit. I like being a dude who wins and everything, but I don't need to scream it, and some colognes, they really scream it. So yeah, this doesn't. This one's nice and subtle, and it smells really good. And like I said, it's hypoallergenic. So if you're a guy who works in an office, you may not have to worry about that as much. But if you're a guy who works in medical, you need to make sure that the cologne that you have isn't going to cause a reaction on the people that you work with. A hypoallergenic cologne, specifically Molecule 01 EDT by Essential Molecules, is going to do that. By the way, y'all will only see me with samples of cologne because I don't want to spend a fuck ton of money on a big boy bottle of cologne, because I feel like in the past I've fallen in the trap of spending money on big boy things instead of recognizing that, being a great dude comes from a lot more than just a fucking big bottle of cologne, and it's a lot simpler than spending money on it. It can be as good as going for regular walks, being hydrated, and, cultivating good relationships. But I digress, man. So the last book is going to be The Daily Stoic. The Daily Stoic is 366 meditations on wisdom, perseverance, and the art of living. It's got new translations of Seneca, Epictetus, and Marcus Aurelius. Stoicism is basically, helping you. What is it? Okay, I'll just explain this. Yeah, okay. It offers all who seek calm, wise life, and a daily spiritual anchor. The Daily Stoic is a compelling page-a-day guide to living a good life, offering inspirational daily doses of classic wisdom. So bunch of really good stuff, man. I read 1 page of this every morning, and it just starts my day on a calm, clear note, bro. And a book that gets an honorable mention or 2 is going to be The Art of Seduction by Robert Greene. When I say that if you are a dude and you need to change your life, I would really look into that book, man. Really look into that book. All these books are great. I would look into all of them. But depending on where you're at in life, let's say you just got out of a breakup, or you've been out of a breakup and you are looking to get back out there, listening to The Art of Seduction by Robert Greene, which is free on YouTube, bro, life-changing shit. 48 Laws of Power by Robert Greene, same thing, but a lot more on the strategic side of things and not more, you know, when it comes to seduction and stuff. That is a really great book. And then, like, you know, the Success Bible, which is Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, is really great. And then, like, an honorable mention that people may not expect is Outwitting the Devil by Robert Greene, which is basically by Napoleon Hill. Napoleon Hill has a bunch of good books. I've only listened to those two, the Think and Grow Rich and Outwitting the Devil. But Think and Grow Rich is one that a lot of people in success talk about. You know, they read it like 10 times and it changed their life. And not saying that it doesn't, but reading the book doesn't change your life. Implementing good shit and taking action, you know, seems to be, at least from where I'm at and what I can tell and what I've learned from a bunch of people way smarter than me. But Outwitting the Devil basically talks about the flaws that, you know, the devil takes advantage of for men to be, or, you know, for people in general to be drifters, to not be successful, to not go after what they want, to not live a good life. And it's very interesting how fear is a very common thing in that. And just for a side note, the most common thing in all religious texts in the history of the human race is do not fear. So a lot of times where there is fear, there lies your task. And that's something that I've learned. And even if I go after something that I'm, you know, afraid of and I fail, I still learn a lot from it. You know, like, it takes a lot of no's to get a yes sometimes, and it takes a lot of failures to get successes. So, you know, fail fast. As long as what you're doing is, you know, cool and not fucked up, then why not go after it? Now, when it comes to the importance of posture, man, so basically the difference, you know, between having good posture and not can make the difference between you living a better life. Actually, I will go as far as to say is it does. If you are walking around with shit posture, hunched over, and you're walking around just with badass body language, and by badass, I don't mean cool at all. I mean hands in your pockets, looking down, hunched over. That's just not getting you any points, bro. And it's not helping you communicate the man that you are becoming actively. So stop selling yourself short by having weak posture and, you know, having your frame collapse every single time, you know, that, you know, shit happens. Like, we can't have perfect posture all day. I definitely don't, but I make an effort to, and I've been doing it consistently, and it means a lot. If you're wondering about, you know, how to do it when you're sitting down and stuff, basically, like, you know, you can't have good posture all day, or you'll realize that you're gonna basically be getting a workout all day long at your desk. And if you want to be active outside of work, it might be good to, you know, not have good posture all the time at work. Maybe get a good chair that's going to help you have better posture, and having it in the office. Maybe it's going to be getting up from your, you know, your chair every hour, every 35 minutes. This is what I, you know, do at the cubicle, and I'll just like walk in place. Sure, people will think that I'm fucking weird. I don't care. I'm trying to feel better and have a healthy back and spine and a much healthier life where me having good times and being active and experiencing this life is sustainable for a long period of time. And getting that little bit of movement and just getting up and reducing that pressure in your spine makes a big difference. Also, you know, when you're sitting at the desk, you know, try not to just be like this, bro. You know, try to just like, you know, keep your chest up, be upright. It also makes you look better, and it's associated with being more attractive and stronger. And when it comes to like walking, here's a tool as someone who used to be a men's image and stylist coach that is used by really high level models. So, or not high level models, just high level when it comes to grooming and posture and stuff, because, you know, being a model is like the highest level with that. And I'm not trying to be a fucking male model, okay? I'm just trying to look great, feel great, have a great time. So use the string method. Imagine that there was a string from the crown of your head, like that was going, you know, through your spine, where basically it's pulling you up. So instead of, you know, sitting like this, it's like, you know, it's pulling you up. Notice how I just got an inch of height. You know, a lot of people are like in the looks max and shit, and they feel like, if I'm not 6 foot and if I wasn't born like this and I don't have shit, bro, you know, practice what you can. Like, take control over this. Don't let all these other factors that you can't control dictate how you feel about yourself. Take control, bro. This shit's systematic and it's pretty fucking simple. It's just annoying at first to do anything, because when you're not good at anything and when you're not in a habit, it gets frustrating. But yeah, and yeah. With that being said, man, the string method is really good because when you are walking, you basically just imagine that there's a string pulling you up from the ground, and it allows you to just, have better posture. You'll notice that you're able to breathe better. Your mood improves, your energy improves, your mental clarity improves. Like, your health drastically improves with these little things. And that's why I feel like, for me, I appreciate them so much, because it makes me feel so good. But I will say that, when I was going through a real tough time in May, going through, different things when it comes to, like, with family and shit, and, with my finances, me not being able to go for those walks really sucked. So, when I was talking about the posture, that's why I was saying, like, go on a walk outside and practice the string method, or get up from your cubicle and at least walk, and move your legs a little bit, give your back a little bit of a break. Because these things, like, really add up, man. The movement and the movement outside really, really helps. But I hope y'all got some good value from this pod, man. Just want to talk about some other stuff where it's not necessarily about the health and fitness, but more just us, talking shit. So I really like Muay Thai. I have, only been training it for the past, like, few months. Haven't been doing it at a gym. Like I said, I was going through some financial, learning experiences in the month of May and leading up there. And so I just have decided to spend money on other things, but I've still been training Muay Thai because I have mats at my place, and I, practice things from different Thai boxers that have tutorials on YouTube, film myself. I have a mirror up as well. I make adjustments to do what I can to make sure I'm not developing bad habits with the Muay Thai when it comes to doing things a certain way. Obviously, there's going to be a bad habit or two that'll happen, but I'd much rather learn, and not be perfect than wait to be perfect, because perfect will never come. So, with me, watching the Muay Thai and stuff, or practicing the Muay Thai, I got into it because of me training MMA at the MMA club at ISU, and watching the UFC and finding a passion for that. I'm not saying that I want to be like a, champion fighter, or that I even want to, fight Muay Thai or, MMA, but I think it would be really cool for me to, just continue to train, because it feels really good and it makes me feel way more confident and just really, really good. Sometimes there's shit that's going on in my life and I can just go to the bag, beat the shit out of the bag and go home exhausted and feeling amazing. You get a real natural high from being active and taking care of yourself like that, and using that energy and stuff, especially if you carb up and have your electrolytes and make sure that you're being well nourished and taking care of yourself. There's the UFC, I think it's 250 or whatever. It's not 250, but it's the 250th anniversary of the US, this year, big 250. We have the UFC White House card this weekend. So Sugar Sean's going to be fighting. He's basically my favorite fighter. He's actually done a lot for me personally, indirectly. Like, we're not homies, but there's a bunch of stuff that he talks about that has been a good influence on me. And it's one of the reasons why I've gotten into, different things like certain books, or, tried certain habits. And yeah, I feel like the thing that I use every day that he's been given is the way that I make my coffee. He makes his coffee with an AeroPress, which is made with very high level, safe plastic. And he, talks about good organic coffee, which I use as well. They have like a complicated coffee thing that they do. For me, I just like it chill. I'm like, if I'm rushing in the morning, man, me doing one less thing can make my morning smoother. Recently, I haven't been rushing though. I just have been managing my time a lot better. But me, making a complicated coffee with a bunch of stuff in it, not only was it too complicated, but my stomach didn't agree with all those ingredients in the morning. I prefer to just have my coffee, have my electrolytes and my water, and fast until I have my breakfast, which I have breakfast later in the day. Have my breakfast around like noon, and then, I have my dinner later in the day. Both of them are like high protein and, really solid for me and they make me feel good, which is why I eat them consistently. But if I, had when I was doing that coffee, I would put like butter in it. I would put honey. I would put cinnamon, and I love butter, honey, and cinnamon. But dude, butter, honey, and cinnamon sounds a lot better on sour toast. Throw a banana on there, a little salt for the electrolytes. Different things. That sounds way fucking better. Or putting that, all those things in a yogurt bowl with some peanut butter or whatever. There's so many different, more, better options to have than to start your day by breaking your fast. That's not like something that I'm a fan of. And I noticed because of my body and because my gut health reflects that, yo, we don't like this, bro. Keep it simple. So I keep it simple because it works for me. If you guys are looking on a book that's going to really help you with your body language, the Dictionary of Body Language by Joe Navarro is really great. I'll throw it up on here, or I'll put it in the description actually. And that book will give you so much game on body language and how to read people that it's almost too much, man. Like I stopped reading it after the eye and the nose and the ear chapter because he broke shit down so much to where in regular interactions that I was having, I just felt like I could read people too much and I didn't even want to read them that much because I feel like it's just, I don't want to do that. Like I don't want to focus on what all these other people are thinking and, feeling and why they're doing it and wondering why and analyzing it, which I found that I did a bit, before reading that book, but afterwards I just understood it so well that I was like, yo, let me take a fucking break, okay? But it does really help about communicating confident body language, which is a big skill that I really, really recommend to all men to learn. Confident body language is so important to learn because it really communicates how you feel. And if you don't know how to communicate how you feel, then that can, be really difficult. I mean, I felt like growing up, I needed to over explain myself, and that's something that I'm just realizing recently, honestly, because I didn't really know how to communicate in any other way but, talking. I felt like I was always trying to prove myself. And and that's because I didn't know how to, express myself in a way that really shows who I am and what I'm about. And by learning more about body language from that book, but also the YouTube videos that have Joe Navarro in it, they might be by like Lad Bible or, GQ and shit. I don't really watch those channels much at all, but I definitely have in the past or whatever. But the videos where he goes over how to be like the body language when you first meet someone, you get to see body language of people, whether they're friends or whether it's a first date or whether they've been together for a while. You just get to basically learn about that, and that's super valuable. And yeah, but when I was doing the men's image and styling coaching, there was a bunch of different parts that I put together for it. And it actually was a little too much too quick. But the client that I had a lot of success with the goal that he specifically had. Everyone's got their own goals, but his goal was beyond met. And I feel like a part of that is because, and what he said is because there was a lot of accountability involved, and that was a big difference maker. There was also him knowing what would help him reach his specific goal instead of wondering. Because when you wonder and you're doing things with, like, you're taking action, but not faithful action, it's a trait that doesn't help you be successful versus if you're taking action with, faith, like beyond a doubt that you are going to reach your goal and that this is going to help you with whatever goal you have, then that really makes a big difference, man. So, um, these books that I was saying and this posture that I've been explaining has been a catalyst, I feel like, for my life to improve. There's, a bunch of things that I've tried in the past and, things that I picked up and then fell off on, or I just realized that they weren't really bringing me the benefits that I thought they were going to, and weren't worth continuing. Those things, like, I might talk about on here, but I really want to just make sure that I'm sticking to these basics that help y'all change your fucking life or at least have a better one. So, um, these books will do that. if you practice and take action on what they say. Because if we just learn all this shit and listen to all this shit, but don't, employ them. By the way, look at the wings. Look at the wings. Look at the vascularity, bro. Damn. Only been, balancing this physique in a systematic way for like 65 days, bro. 70 days. And I'm loving it. But anyways, man. So, um, these books will change your life if you take action. All the stuff that I talk about on here, it's like you will get better if you get better, bro. And these are and the tools that I give you on here and these different things that I'm talking about really help you get better. But yeah, man. So and with the posture and shit, it just communicates so much. And a lot of people don't use it. And even if we're not talking about communicating, if we're strictly talking about looking good and feeling good, bro, you look so much better when you're not hunched over and looking down. When you're walking around with open body language, the world's around you, you're actually looking at it because it's yours to see and enjoy, not to ignore and, coddle away from. Like you're really experiencing more of life, man. And a lot of people, when we're around them, they look down and they're, shy and all this shit. And bro, like people can be shy, nothing wrong with that. I used to be shy. I know how it feels to outwork that. And there's times where I'm in new situations around new people and I'm shy for sure, but I know that I can outwork that and introduce myself and that it'll be a solid time because I've done that. And yeah, man. But back on the UFC thing, man. I think the UFC is rad. I love the culture of it. I love the culture of MMA and Jiu-Jitsu and Muay Thai. I have this goal of going to Thailand to train Muay Thai and, maybe doing like a fight. One thing that is it's like there's a sport, I think it's called Muay. Like it's a different kind of Muay Thai, but it has like your fists are covered with like rope wraps, so it's very nasty when it comes to the cuts and stuff that you get, and it's pretty scary. But they have a different kind of it's a different kind of a sport, and it's more traditional. It's like I think came before Muay Thai. It's just a variation of Thai boxing as well. But man, the culture of Muay Thai is something that I'm really into. I love learning about like the Y Crew, which is the dance that Muay Thai athletes do before their bouts to pay homage and respect to their gym and their lineage of their gym, and to do a little bit of a warm up and get a blood flow. But man, you know, like I was saying, like where there is fear, there lies your task. And so, I was really afraid when I started like throwing my first jab and doing my first knee and learning my lead teep, and which is a front kick. Basically, the teep is like this. So this is my stance. This is my lead leg, and y'all can't see, but my foot is like this, and then so yeah, that's a shitty team, but I've only been doing this for a few months, but actually it's not that shitty. Because if there was a chair here, a big thing about the teep is don't bring it up like that. Put it, above so that like it's part of it. So it wouldn't look too bad, to a coach or something. And it is what they teach in Thailand and in Muay Thai class with a teep. The teep is like the jab with boxing. The jab is really good to like find your range, for your distance, so for you to set things up. But with the teep, it's similar except your leg is way stronger than than your arm with the jab, and it can go a lot farther, and have a lot more power and kick to it, literally. So. The Muay Thai is just like rad. I like the tattoos with Muay Thai. It seems super dope. And Thailand, they call it the land of smiles. The national sport in Thailand is Muay Thai. In America, I feel like people are super testy and they got a lot of points to prove. In Muay Thai, everyone trains, or sorry, in Thailand, everyone trains Muay Thai. So it's like if you got a point to prove, bro, like everyone can fucking spinning back elbow each other and it negates everything, But I feel like a lot of people, me included at times, we can be testy and trip about, certain things, but it's like usually there's things that I have to handle in my life and work on and change. instead of someone really causing the problem and, doing so much to where they deserve me to trip on them for a long time. And that doesn't mean that shit doesn't piss me off and that I trip on it for a while, but eventually I just acknowledge how that makes me feel and choose more or less of it, and I never want to choose more of it. So I outwork that negative thought, but it's not easy. It takes a lot of time and practice and shit, but I've done it over time and y'all can too. But like I was saying in this pod, man, when I just showed that in there about my workout, so in the past, so in the beginning of January, I was looking in the mirror and I was really upset with who I was seeing. I felt like I was working out for like 8 months out of the year. And then I went to a music festival called Art Chicago and then was traveling with friends. And then, different social events were happening where it just led me to fall off on the working out. I didn't have a system that worked with me basically traveling and I was already working out like 6 days a week and um I was like eating the same meal all the time. I wasn't really having a variety in my diet. And I didn't really understand my relationship with food as well. There was just a lot of stuff to improve. And so in January, I realized that, okay, I want to, make this change, but I don't want to live in the gym anymore. So then I was just like, okay, um, or because that's kind of what pushed me out of the gym was having to be there so much and spend so much time there after work. So I was like, let me just do a 3-day split with working out. Let me just do push pull legs, see where it gets me. Let me, just eat high protein, balanced whole foods and make it sustainable and convenient. And by sustainable, I mean convenient and simple because I need something that I can do, that I can eat or have ready on a day where I'm tired as hell and I got shit going on with my friends and family and, I don't have time to work out and something happened with this, and maybe my house has something going on with it, or my apartment, or my car, or whatever, dude. So being able to like stick to my goals on the days where, it's tough and where I really feel like I can't think about it is super, super important. So the 3-day split really allows me to do that, because I'm able to just, fit my workouts in with my schedule easily. There's, more time throughout the week, more days throughout the week that I'm not working out than when I'm working out. And I'm also not working out in a way where it's too intense and too strenuous on my nervous system and my body to where I can't do anything after working out. Not saying that like I am working a full shift after working out at all. Like that's not what I'm doing. I'm working out after work, but before working out, I go for a little walk just to clear the head after work. Walk outside and then I work out, but I'm not, working out for like an hour and a half. I'm doing a little warm up and then working out for like 45 minutes is my longest workout. So that's with my whole day. So yeah, man, and everything's been going solid. I focus on the compound lifts more, and I've been, tracking my lifts with progressive overload after I got in the rhythm of working out. So when I started, I wasn't tracking my weights. I was just trying to make it in the gym and trying to feel more comfortable in the gym and make it feel more home. And you might be asking, why weren't you tracking your weights? Because simplicity leads to consistency. And as someone who has been a coach for people who have been successful and who has had mistakes and learned from shit, with my life as well, making shit too complicated and putting too much shit on my plate, on your plate, on anyone's plate doesn't help them get it done better. It actually makes it way more complicated and can, lead to failure. And then you learn from it. And if you recognize that it was the unnecessary workload that you put on yourself and making things too complicated, then you can just dial it back. And that's where I'm at. And that's how I got here. So yeah. But there's some really great meals that I've been loving, like the yogurt bowl, which I'll definitely be doing a video about the recipe for. It's so good, and it's the sweet tooth craving killer, and it helps you stack gains in protein, and it's high protein balanced whole foods. These are not we're not just eating, plain chicken, mid rice, and some fucking shitty broccoli. My chicken rice and broccoli is dirty rice, gas seasoned chicken, and the broccoli is fucking unbelievable. And also, I have some different sauces that I do to make it like a little stir fry. With a wok pan, put some sauces in it, chef that shit up, and it's really good. It tastes great, makes me feel great, and I like how my brain fires when I eat this food, man. It's really, really cool. But anyway, so we got that the chicken, rice, and everything nice. We got the yogurt bowl making me swole. Um, we got the bone broth making me flyer than a moth. Um, and that's yeah. I mean, there's a few other dishes that I have, but what really makes a difference is like a homemade sauce that I do because I have the Greek yogurt or the whole milk yogurt, and I'll put a little bit of dill, a little bit of paprika, some other spices, a little juice, oil, some different things. And by oil, I mean olive oil, avocado oil. Let's be honest, we're not using any of that other shit. So yeah, but that's that those are some meals that I've been really enjoying and going to. But um yeah, so I hope that I was able to give you all some good value today. Hope that you guys got some good game to really feel better, have a good time, and just have some great days, man. I know that this health thing can seem really daunting. I was there. I was really scared. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know where to go. I didn't know how to start. In the last episode, I was talking about, getting a water bottle, getting a gym membership, and going on a walk. Those three things. Just focus on those three things. Um, all this other stuff gradually, comes. And if you want, you can do it all, bro. You can try doing it all, and maybe you'll be able to make it happen. I'm not going to tell you that you can or can't do something. You're your own man and you make your own life. But I will tell you that like it's easier to do less, obviously. And sometimes doing less is doing more. And that's because you're able to stick to doing those things for a much longer period versus if you overload your plate and schedule with all these new things, then, you know, eventually, like a tower that doesn't have the strongest foundation or a strong enough foundation, it will collapse. And then that land is open to be rebuilt. So you can build yourself back up, bro. But I'm just giving you all some sauce to help you, man, and help you guys live good, feel good, and have good days, man. So I hope y'all take care and train hard. This was episode 2 of the Pretty Solid Pod. Peace out.